Hello, Cache Valley. It's Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, and we're changing our name to Alara Group. We're still your local hometown team, but now with even more options. By teaming up with one of the nation's top insurance firms, we can bring you more carriers, better value, while keeping the small town personal service you count on. Come see us in North Logan. Same face, same place. Or call 435-752-0101.
This is McGruff the Crime Dog, and I need you to help me take a bite out of crime. Another teenager, victim to fake pills bought from social media. This doesn't seem like a drug deal, but it definitely is. Should buying prescription pills be that easy? Many fake pills contain fentanyl, and an amount small enough to fit on the tip of a pencil can be lethal. So listen, before buying pills from social media, think again. Learn more at mcgruffpsa.org and go for real. Brought to you by USPTO and the National Crime Prevention Council.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. If that makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Good morning and welcome to the Garden Guide. This is Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden, and we are here to answer your questions and hopefully help you solve some garden problems this morning. So phone lines are open, and we would love to have you call in and join us here on the Garden Guide this morning. And we got a couple of things we'll be talking about as well too. So, Jason, how's your garden growing this year?
It's despite the heat, well, maybe because of the heat, it's going crazy.
Yeah. Surprisingly, the plants actually like it when it's hot.
Yeah, my peppers, tomatoes, and zucchini are out of control this year.
Yeah. We've been picking beans for like 3 weeks, and it's like they won't stop.
I think this is the earliest I've plucked the zucchini off the plant.
Yeah.
It was late June.
Oh, nice.
Late June.
That's not bad at all. Zucchinis are actually about 45 days. They'll produce in about 45 days.
Yeah.
So to get one the end of June, 1st of July is like not unusual.
That was a firstly forgetful and I don't get to planting. But this year it was so nice. I'm like, I'm going to stick a few seeds and see what happens.
Yeah, there you go. The only problem I've got with my garden this year is squash bugs killed my pumpkins. So my giant pumpkins are toast, and I'm pretty sure it's squash vine borer. And so
is that the heat as well, or the early one?
No, it's just they aggressive and early, and my vines just were not doing anything. It's like, what the heck is going on? And I'm pretty sure it was the squash bugs.
That's too bad.
Yeah, and weeds.
Yeah.
My garden is just overrun with weeds, and I'm to the point where it's like, yeah, I'm just going to till them up. I'm just going to till them all. Leave them for now. Of course, they're going to spread 5 million seeds everywhere, and that's the way it's going to work. But I do. I've got grass in the corn, and I've got morning glory in the cantaloupes, and at this point, it's just like I'm not going to spend hours trying to get that out. I did that once in July. I thought we were good, and then like 2 weeks later, they were just like, all right, back again. And I didn't have time this spring to put down weed barrier around a lot of my plants, because I usually do that with my cucumbers and cantaloupes and tomatoes and peppers, and it really helped because it really keeps the weeds down in those areas. And just this year,
yeah. Sometimes you just think, well, I'll just let nature take its course here.
Exactly. But I did
more amenities in the spring.
Yeah,
right?
we did start digging potatoes the other day, though.
Oh, really?
Yes, and
wow,
because the plants are really big. They're still healthy. They're not dying down yet, but the plants are looking great. And I was like, we should just try hills and see what's going on. So I dug up one of our hills of Yukon Gold, and literally we just kept pulling more potatoes out and more potatoes out. And I'm like, is this really just is this one hill? Because the plant was big, and I'm like, well, maybe I got 2 hills. Nope, it was one hill.
Wow.
And I got 4 pounds of potatoes off of
goodness.
one hill. And this year I did something just slightly different. And so when we planted them, I made sure to treat them with a fungicide. So I used fungicide 5 on them, which is great for scab and other diseases that get into the potatoes. But then I treated them with Bigfoot. So I did the Bigfoot on them. So we did Bigfoot, and we did the fungicide 5, and then I also used actually a little bit of sulfur in there, because the sulfur brings the pH down. So I put sulfur right in there, and then I used a new fertilizer. I used the Green Grow on them, and I've never had potatoes like this.
Really?
Ever.
That's very cool.
Because we dug them, and my grandson really loves digging the potatoes, so he's helping me dig the potatoes. We're pulling them out. I'm like, dang, that looks like about 4 pounds. and so my kids took them, and they took them home and washed them and put them in a colander, and then threw them on the scale just to see. And they sent me a picture, and it was like spot on, 4 pounds exactly. I was just like, dang, that was a good guess. It's like, not too bad.
You get pretty good at it.
Well, we work with weights and measurements all the time at the store, and so I kind of get a feel for how much everything. I can weigh a pound of corn with my eyes closed, basically, because I've done it a couple tens of thousands of times. And you just kind of get used to it. So
you did get. But I once had an opportunity to have a conversation with the state brand inspector at the time, and this guy could look at a cow, and within 50 pounds tell you its weight.
How much it weighs.
It was so impressive.
Yeah.
But I think it's more useful to be able to do that with potatoes.
Very well. I don't know. Steak sounds pretty good.
That's
too.
True, actually. Yeah.
I'll do the potatoes if he wants to do the steak. We'll just meet in the middle. So
that is
no pun intended.
We had I got an email through. This was actually for a different program here at KVNU, but a listener emailed and said I wasn't sure which contact to use, but ahead of the Garden Guide Saturday, I wanted to say that she said I cannot remember the young man's name, but someone at Anderson Seed saved my hydrangeas. And then in parentheses, she'd written, turns out I've been pruning them wrong all of these years. But she wanted me to mention that on the Garden Guide at next possibility, because awesome. I guess she'd had these hydrangeas just kind of, she thought, slowly dying.
Yeah.
And she said best year she's had with them ever, because she had a conversation with an employee at Anderson Seed, and they said, well, you're pruning them wrong. She said they were right.
Has a little bit to do with it. Yeah, because you can cut all your flowers off if you prune them incorrectly, and then all of a sudden you got no flowers, and you're like, dang, these stupid hydrangeas won't do anything.
I learned that with lilacs. I didn't know that.
And lilacs, yeah.
I didn't know that every fall I was stopping the blossoms in the spring.
Cutting all your flowers off.
Cutting them all off.
So the general rule is, if it blooms before Memorial Day, don't prune it until after it's done blooming. So you prune in the summer. And lilacs bloom in May. And so if you prune them like late fall, you'll cut all your flowers off, because the flowers are forming in the fall. They're going to open up in the spring. And so usually right after they're done blooming is when we prune all those really early bloomers. So we're talking lilacs and forsythia and beauty bush. Some of those are like, they're going to bloom before Memorial Day, no matter what. And so you wait until after they're done blooming, then you do the pruning. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, and some hydrangeas need to be pruned in the fall. Some need to be pruned in the springtime. Some can handle a little bit of both, but a lot of their production depends on how you prune and what kind of hydrangeas they are, which leads us into the next thing I really wanted to say. We just got a whole bunch of new hydrangeas in. So
really?
Some gorgeous ones. Yeah, so we got some Annabelles, we got some Quickfire, and we got some Little Lime, and just a whole bunch of really nice hydrangeas in. And other shrubs as well too. So we got some burning bush, and we got a few lilacs, and we've got let's see, some dogwoods, and some viburnum, and some weigela. So we got a whole bunch of new shrubs in. We got about 500 new shrubs in on Monday, and they all look great. They're all proven winners, so they're all like high-end quality plants. And they are part of our cash sale. So cash sale is going on right now, and if you pay with a credit card, you pay with a debit card or a check, you get 15% off. But if you pay with cash, you get an extra 10% off.
Oh, on top of
so it makes it 25% off. Wow. But for everybody who's listening today, so this is not we're advertising. We're doing a regular cash sale. But if you heard Mark on the radio this morning talking about the cash sale, we'll give you an extra 10% off on top of that. So today you get 35% off if you mention, hey, Mark mentioned on the radio today to get extra 10 on top of the 10. So this is a extra cash discount. So 35% off if you pay with cash today. Wow. Yeah, just today. So we'll give everybody who's listening to the radio a little extra discount, and we're gonna do an extra 20% off on if you pay with cash.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. With all these new plans in too, you get that little bit extra discount. So it'll make it 35% off, and you get a really good price on a whole bunch of really nice shrubs that just came in. But it includes our trees and our flowering trees and our vines and our evergreens. Basically all the nursery stock that we've got left over, and we've got new perennials that came in as well too. So we've got a great selection of perennials, and then we're still clearancing out some plants, and they are 50% or 70% or $1 a piece. And so we've got a bunch of plants that we're just clearing out, and some of them are even just free that we just want you to take them home and try and salvage,
do something with them. I'm kind of a sucker for those. I picked up some half off, half dead tomatoes at a greenhouse once, and I was most proud of those tomatoes that summer.
There you go. Yeah.
I know you kind of work to spell this myth, but a lot of folks, when the big orders, they've cleaned out their little, mini greenhouse collection.
Their gardens, their garden center.
Yeah, and it's already switched over to Christmas.
Right.
And so a lot of people think, okay, the planting season is done. But there are a lot of, I'm learning from you that there are a lot of plants in the garden that you can stick in July and still get a harvest from. There are a lot of things in your yard that as things start to cool down here towards the end of August, you actually want to plant in the fall. My wildflower gardens, scattering those seeds in the fall has been just huge for getting a bigger return on that seed scatter.
Right.
But that's what I appreciate about Anderson seed is that, it kind of a reminder that this is a whole year kind of thing.
Yes.
From soil tending to planting in July.
Well, there's a lot of people that have parts of their garden that are like done. Whether it's peas or spinach or lettuce, they're done.
Yeah.
And my beans are going to be done here in the next week or two, so I'll have a little bit of extra room there in the garden. Well, you can replant a lot of those fall crops and reuse and recycle some of that space that's like finished already for the year. So you could plant more lettuce, more spinach, more peas. You could do kale. You could do cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli. You could start the seeds inside and transplant the plants out. And then they'll be producing in September and October when temperatures are cooler. And a lot of those cold crops will actually do better when they're producing in September and October than they will if they're producing in like June and July when the temperatures are really starting to get hot. So then your lettuce goes to seed really fast, and your spinach goes to seed really fast, and your broccoli, you get one cutting off of it before it goes to seed, because it's so hot in the summertime. So fall planting is a great time to do it. And then one thing I definitely want to emphasize is this is the time of year to do cover crops.
Oh, okay.
So I told you at the top of the hour, I'm like battling weeds like crazy. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to replace the weeds with a plant that's going to put nutrient back into your soil, and it's going to help break up your clay soil. It's going to put organic matter back in, and so it is better to put down some clover or some buckwheat or some vetch or some annual or winter rye and plant that. And you can plant it in between the rows of all your plants and then hit it a couple, once a day for a week or so with a sprinkler. And all of a sudden, all that seed's going to germinate. And instead of having weeds coming up, you've got a cover crop coming up. And you just let it grow through the fall and then till it in when you just till your garden in the fall. And it's going to put all that nutrition and all that organic matter back into your soil. And there's something about the root system of these plants is they help break up the clay And as the root system breaks down, it keeps your clay from clumping back up. And so it really, really helps condition soils that are heavier, and we're putting green organic matter back into the soil, so you're putting nitrogen back in many cases, especially with the clover and the buckwheat and the vetch. It's putting a lot of nitrogen back into the soil. And so doing a cover crop right now is a great way to do it. If we were getting monsoonal moisture like the rest of the state,
yeah, everybody
but Cache Valley, everybody but Cache Valley, you could just broadcast the seed out and just kind of rake it in. And then if we're getting a rainstorm, thunder shower every couple days, then all those seeds would germinate anyway.
Sure.
Because the soil's nice and warm, so they're going to germinate and come up pretty fast. But you may need to supplement it with some extra water from a sprinkler. But then all of a sudden, instead of weeds coming up, you've got clover or buckwheat or vetch or annual rye.
And I tell you, vetch, I learned, is one of the best weed barriers.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff grows thick.
It's really thick, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to get it reincorporated back into the soil.
Yeah,
because
I had to chop it.
Yeah, you got to chop it all up because your tiller won't till it all in.
But, man, if you want bumblebees in your yard,
right,
they go crazy over that.
Yeah. And then on our website and in our vegetable growing guide, there is an article on how to do cover crops. And it's by far one of the best articles that I have written. It's very complete. It's got a lot of great information in there, and shows you or tells you step by step, this is exactly how you do it. And here's all the options that you've got. Okay. And we carry almost all that seed at Anderson's. And so it's very, very beneficial for your soil. And August is absolutely the best time to do it because it'll grow for the next 2 months. And then when you go to till your garden, mid-October, first of November, you'll just incorporate all that stuff right back into the soil.
I did. So I've done, under advice from you, I've done 2 years of wheatgrass, clover, and vetch in the fall. Actually, last year I was curious, so I just kind of let it go through the winter where we had no snow. But both times my soil looks similar to just two falls of doing this. Yeah, my soil looks similar to a time that I remember we did 3 or 4 truckloads of amenities from the local combine. And I think this cost me seed wise $10. Yeah, probably.
It's not very expensive,
and I'm not out of seed.
Yeah. How big's your garden? Remind me.
Probably at most a quarter acre.
Okay,
not big.
Yeah.
But I can I just gather the seed by hand, rake it a little bit, and then let the rain, if there is any, take care of it. But just 2 years of doing that, and there's enough breakdown happening in the soil that I can tell I'm not getting those cracks you see in July that start to form on the surface. Yeah. It doesn't happen anymore.
That's nice.
And honestly, it was one of the easiest soil amenity projects I've ever done. I scattered seeds, sprinkled some water, and
boom, away you go.
That was it.
Yeah. I like that combination. So I like the clover with the vetch, the buckwheat, and then put a little bit of rye in with it too. So you can do different combinations, and each plant provides different nutrition and organic matter and a different root system that breaks up the soil. And so by incorporating all of those in, and sometimes in the fall they get tall enough you got to cut them down.
Yeah,
you almost got to go over them with the mower.
I had to mow the wheatgrass last fall.
It really gets going. But once you mow it, and then you've got just all this really nice green, organic matter right back into the soil, and then it decomposes over the winter and just builds your soil back up. So it's a great idea to help control weeds, but also to put something back into your soil that's really quite beneficial.
I've noticed on some of the plants that I know are kind of nitrogen starved, I've noticed darker greens. My tomato plants, darker green in the leaves.
Nice.
And a noticeable large harvest.
Yeah,
I'm actually kind of worried about. I'm looking at these tomato plants thinking,
my tomatoes are going
with
gangbusters. In fact, one of my cherry tomatoes is so big it pulled all my cages over. So
I had one do that.
It's massive. It's just like, oh man, really? It's like laying on the ground. I got to go pick it back up. So, but I've got one section of the garden where we had to put a drain field in. they put soil back in, but they didn't layer it properly. So I've got kind of a clay layer underneath, and so I go to put the tomato cages in. This has never been a problem, but I get down about 8 inches, and it just like hits this hard layer now, and it's like I can't get the cages far enough into the ground to support the tomatoes. So it's really kind of frustrating.
And they get big and topple.
Yeah, I've got like the biggest cages you can put on them, so they're like big handies, and they're basically almost 5 feet tall, and and the tomatoes are just like yanking them over. So that's how that works. But hey, if you are listening and you would like to join our conversation, please give us a call 435-753-5868 or 753 KVNU. Phone lines are open, and we would love to have you join our conversation this morning. And as I mentioned, we're doing our cash sale right now, so it's 15% off if you pay with credit card or debit card or check. But if you pay with cash, get an extra 10%. And for everyone listening on the radio today, if you heard, hey, Mark said on the radio today, we get an extra 10, you'll get 20% off if you pay with cash. And so then you'll be paying 35% off instead of the regular 25% off. So, but you got to make sure and mention it at the register, because this is just a radio advertised incentive today for who's listening to the radio.
Yeah. Little bonus for people who tune into the Garden Guide.
And we did get a really nice selection of shrubs in this week and perennials in this week. So we got some brand new stuff as well too, and it is on sale also. So sometimes when we get new stuff in, we're like, okay, this just came in. Sorry, it's not on sale. But we got a really good deal on some of the plants. And we just happen to have a truck coming this way, and we threw some plants on there, and boom, extra special discount on some of those new plants that we just got in. So can't beat it.
35% is not bad.
That's a good deal for right now. So, but come Monday, it's still going to be 15 and 25. So just today, if you heard it on the radio, just make sure and tell them at checkout, hey, I heard Mark on the radio today. He said 20% off on top of the 15. If I pay with cash. So, and cash is like dead presidents on green dollar bills.
The physical, you remember that, right? The physical stuff.
The physical stuff. Yeah. It blows me away that so many people don't take cash anymore.
Yeah.
It's like go all these places like, oh, sorry, we don't take cash. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't take cash.
I don't understand it, because for the store, the transaction, it's actually cheaper for everyone.
It's much less expensive,
right? If you do cash, but. This is. I have just a quick question while we're waiting for a call here. End rot in tomatoes and peppers.
Yeah.
At what point should you? Because I know some of it just happens.
Right.
But at what point should you worry that something's wrong?
Blossom end rot in most cases happens from a lack of calcium in the plant.
Okay.
And that can happen from cultivating too close to the plant once your plants get big, because you're like kind of damaging some of those fine root hairs.
Okay.
But we have found that there's a couple ways to prevent that, and you want to start fairly early. Like when your plants are small, this is when you want to really start with it, because we have a lot of calcium that's available in our soil, but it is not it's very slow to move through the plant, so it's not very mobile. And so your plant will pick up the calcium, it will move it all the way through the plant, and it gets all the way out to the blossom, and it gets all the way out to the fruit, but it doesn't quite get to the end of the fruit. And so then you get this brown sunken spot on the bottom of the tomatoes, and it makes them less desirable. I mean, it doesn't affect the flavor or anything. You just cut it off, and the tomato's fine. Sure. But it definitely damages a perfectly good fruit. Because the calcium cannot get to the very end of the fruit, and so then you get this deterioration on the plant.
Makes sense.
And so calcium nitrate, which comes in either a liquid or a granulated form, is a great way to help the plants, because the calcium is piggybacked on the nitrogen. Okay. And so calcium nitrate is nitrogen plus calcium, and the calcium is piggybacked on the nitrogen, and the nitrogen moves very quickly through the plant,
okay,
and it pulls calcium along with it. And so we've got fertilizers that are our seedlingers tomato fertilizer is a liquid you can mix up in water and just water your plants with that once every 2 weeks during the growing season. And not only is it a great fertilizer, but it has the calcium nitrate in it. Okay. And so it really will help correct calcium deficiency in your plants. But if you want to go granule type, do calcium nitrate from like high yield, and they use a tablespoon per plant once when you first plant, and then again like 2 or 3 weeks later, and then maybe once more during the growing season if you think it needs it. But just those 2 or 3 applications will completely correct blossom end rot and that calcium deficiency on you. If you're in the middle of the season and you realize, oh dang, all of a sudden it just popped up, like I thought I had plenty of calcium on them, but they're still kind of struggling, then we would recommend a product like Yield Booster from Fertilome or CalMag from Bush Doctor. And the CalMag and the Yield Booster has calcium chloride in it, also a very quick moving calcium. Okay. And then the CalMag has magnesium in there as well too. So they actually help the plants set more fruit and ripen quicker as well too. So it actually will aid in fruit set and in ripening. And those products on the plants this time of year is actually a really great supplement because it will speed up the ripening process of your fruits. Okay. And so instead of having a whole bunch of green tomatoes come mid-September, everything will be ripened and ripening at that point. And so the CalMag's really, really helpful for that. And so is the Yield Booster.
I'm also noticing at AndersonSeedandGarden.com, I'm also noticing it's very cheap.
Yes.
This is not this is not an expensive solution.
No. Quite inexpensive and very, very helpful at setting fruit. The CalMag helps the plant set more fruit and also produce more flowers, but it'll help them ripen up as well too. So we can correct that blossom end rot and also get a better harvest.
Very nice.
Yeah, can't beat that. So
thank you.
Yeah. So call in with questions or comments. Our phone lines are open, 435-753-5868 or 435-753-KVNU. And we would love to have you join us here on the Garden Guide. And don't forget, we've got our cash sale going on at Anderson's right now. So 15% off on all of our nursery stock. So trees and shrubs and evergreens and roses and flowering trees and fruit trees. They're all 15% off, but if you pay with cash, you get extra 10%. But today, for my radio listeners, it's an extra 20%. So you'll get 35% off all those plants if you mention it at the checkout this morning. So got to do it. All right.
Very nice.
Let's take a little break, and we will be back in just a few minutes here on the Garden Guide.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. The status unknown of 2 crew members on board a heavy lift helicopter. It crashed battling fires in Utah. Friday, a bulldozer operator was killed while trying to contain a wildfire in south central Oregon. That wildfire risk remains elevated throughout the West, says ABC meteorologist Samara Theodore.
We are seeing diminished air quality due to all this smoke we've got. 9 p.m. tonight, Mountain Time, we're starting to see these plumes of very heavy and extreme wildfire smoke sink down into places like Idaho, out towards Casper, Idaho Falls. So folks should really be on the alert as you head through the remainder of your Saturday.
The newly confirmed Attorney General Todd Blanche thanking the Senate on social media for staying late to confirm him. The 1-vote margin came down to Louisiana Republican Bill Cassidy. That's after every Democrat and Republicans, Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, voted against. Tonight's Powerball jackpot, $856 million. Nobody's won it since May 2nd. This is ABC News.
The Boston Red Sox continue their historic midseason rally Friday, looking for their 9th straight win and 27th in their last 30. Taking on the Athletics, they got a sensational outing from rookie Peyton Tolley.
The big lefty kicks and deals. Swing and a miss, strike 3! 97! It is 14 strikeouts through 6 for Tolley. The Red Sox lead the A's 9-1, and Tolley has been dominant.
WEEI 93.7 FM with the call. Tolley with 14 strikeouts in 6 innings, allowing just 1 earned run. The Red Sox offense pounded out 15 hits. They dominated the Athletics 13-1. 9 straight wins now for Boston. Tolley, the youngest pitcher with 14 strikeouts since the late Jose Fernandez struck out 14 in 2014. And the youngest Red Sox, and Roger Clemens, had 20 strikeouts back in 1986. Tolley was asked about that company he's now with.
Good company, but it means a lot. But it's not the end. Just keep going. Just keep building off each one.
The Braves saw their 8-game win streak snap as the Yankees scored a pair of runs in the 9th and won the game on a sac fly in the 10th to beat Atlanta 3-2. Dodgers now losers of 7 in a row as Ryan Waldschmidt hit a walk-off 2-run bomb in the bottom of the 9th to lead Arizona over L.A. 4-3. In the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs will have their preseason opener next week against the Rams. It's unlikely we'll see Patrick Mahomes, according to Chiefs head coach Andy Reid.
There's a pretty good chance I don't play him, and percentages are leading that way. And I don't know if I'll play him the second or third game. I don't know that. So, but percentages probably lean against doing that and letting the other guys. We've got new people in those other positions and behind him that need some work. And so the more reps they get, the better.
The Titans have signed left guard Peter Skoronski to a 4-year, $100 million extension with $88 million guaranteed.
One mountain, one challenge, one epic finish. Are you tough enough to battle the Beeve? On Saturday, September 12th, conquer Beaver Mountain on a 4.75-mile climb that'll push your strength, endurance, and determination to the limit. The Little Beeve Run for kids 12 and under starts at 9:30 with the main event beginning at 10 a.m. Space is limited, so register today at raceentry.com. That's raceentry.com. Winner will receive a season pass to Beaver Mountain Ski Resort. Battle the Beeve, September 12th at Beaver Mountain. Can you beat the Beeve?
I was in the hot sun for 18 months. When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong. When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely ill, everyday life is filled with barriers.
Really, the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to. I drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door opener. Help them function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom. It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
This is Detective Johnson from the Logan City Police Department. Scams in our community are on the rise, and innocent losing thousands of dollars. These scams are coming in the form of phony phone calls claiming to be from government organizations or legitimate businesses. They are also circulating on social media and emails. Almost all of these scams are asking for payment through gift cards that are almost impossible to track. No legitimate business or organization uses gift cards as currency. If you receive a scam of this, do not give the scammers any information and immediately call police. Remember, pause, stop, call a cop.
The Garden Guide on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM at 102.1 FM.
Good morning and welcome to the Garden Guide. We are back and we're talking weeds and cover crops and blossom end rot and plants on sale and new crops that you can plant for fall. So all kinds of things that you can do this time of year. And despite the heat, it's actually a really good time to plant. And so we've been planting some trees, and we've been actually taking some trees out at my house too. So it happens. For some reason, I don't know, we had a fire like really close to our house last week. So
you had a rough weekend.
So we're
still came in and did the garden
doing
guide.
a little cleaning some stuff out. We're just like, this is a fire hazard. Maybe we should we should clear this up this week. So, yeah.
I remember tuning in last week when you were here with Will, and I'm like, now that is dedication.
Yep.
To have a night like that.
Well, I was kicked out of my house, so it's like, what else am I going to do?
Nowhere else to go.
I could sit around and like worry about what was happening, even though I kind of knew what was happening, or get to work.
Yeah, that was.
So it's like, all right, I'll get to work. Yeah, I'll get to work.
I was impressed.
It was not too bad. It was great going to work with my swim shorts on and a t-shirt, so it really wasn't bad. And I had my Tivas on too, so I had sandals, and it was definitely a less exciting weekend last night.
A little calmer.
Than
just stayed home
than the week before. Yeah, a little bit calmer. But surprisingly, yes, we did clean up a lot of potential fire issues in our neighborhood, and city crews and state crews were working on the trail as well too. So nice to see them up there clearing a lot of dead stuff out. To try and help as well too. So they were pecking away at it yesterday while we were working in our yard, and invited them down to come get a drink and cool off a little bit. It's nice and shady where we were at, so wasn't too bad.
That is. I think about that with all the firefighters out there, all around the Intermountain West, but these temperatures and that gear they wear, and
oh, it's hot.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
really hot.
You got to tip your hat to them.
You burn a lot of calories doing that. So, you can burn a lot of calories.
Sweat most of it off.
Right. So at the top of the show, we mentioned that we've got our cash sale going on at Anderson Seed and Garden. So all of our trees and shrubs and evergreens and roses and vines, they're all 15% off. So 15% off. And if you pay with cash, get extra 10%. And so it makes 25% off. But for our listeners today, we're doing a special just for today, for Saturday. If you mention it at the checkout that you heard me on the radio talk about an extra 10, we'll give you 20% off if you pay with cash. And so that's a cumulative discount of 35% off if you pay with cash on all of our remaining trees and shrubs and evergreens. Okay. And we just got some new plants in this week as well too. So some beautiful hydrangeas and some dogwoods and some burning bush and some weigela and some snowball. Maybe it was not snowball. I think we got some mock orange. Got a whole bunch of really nice shrubs in this week, and they are all 35% off if you pay with cash and you mention it that you heard it on the radio this morning. So give you extra discount on top if you pay with cash and you mention that you heard it on the radio. So we'll give that 20% off instead of 10% off if you pay with cash.
It's a good deal.
It is a good deal. But you got to go to the ATM and grab some cash if you're not carrying around.
Yeah.
Because if you pay with a credit card or a debit card or a check, you're just going to get the 15% off. Yeah.
That is worth swinging through.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Through the ATM and mentioning you heard the show today.
Absolutely worth it. So call in with questions or comments. Our phone lines are open. Jason and I have just been chatting today, talking about a bunch of different things. But phone lines are 435-753-KVNU or 435-753-5868. And you're welcome to call in with questions or comments. This last week, I've fielded a lot of questions on raspberries and on weeds. We probably should definitely talk about weeds because weeds have absolutely inundated my garden. And for some reason, usually I don't have many weeds in my lawn. This year I have more weeds in my lawn than I swear we've had for a decade. Just the weather conditions or spring or however things went. But I just got weeds everywhere.
I noticed there's one little pocket in my lawn that if you don't shove the lawnmower back a long way under that shrub, you miss it. And I lifted that corner of that shrub up a little while ago to shove the lawnmower under there, and I noticed a 3-foot high thistle.
Yeah.
Tucked itself back in there and was just
where did that come from?
Thriving under that. But the heat, everything goes crazy.
Yeah, it sure has. So in my lawn, I've got sections where I know there's morning glory, and I've never had morning glory in my lawn ever. And it's just like popped up out of nowhere, and it's like, dang, did that come in the irrigation, or did it blow in, or what? Where did it come from?
Get rid of it.
Yeah, yeah, so this fall we'll get after it. But we're seeing a lot of dandelions, we're seeing a lot of clover, we're seeing a lot of morning glory and puncture vine and purslane. Tons of different weeds, but really seeing a lot of weedy grasses this year. So a lot of crabgrass, foxtail, goosegrass, Dallas grass, chickweed, spurge. A lot of those weeds. And we actually have a spray from Furlong, and it's called Weed Out with crabgrass control in it. And it works on a lot of those weedy grasses as well as your broadleaf weeds. So it does a good job on dandelions, like a really good job on dandelions and purslane, and it does a pretty good job on the break as well too, and thistles, but it will kill a lot of those weedy grasses that are popping up as well too. So the crabgrass, we're seeing tons of it, and Dallas grass and foxtail and chickweed and goosegrass. It'll kill all of those, but it won't hurt your turf. Okay. So it won't hurt your bluegrass or your rye or your fescues. And so if you've got some weedy grasses showing up in your lawn, this is worth giving a shot. And it will work in low 90 temperatures, but if you start getting above 95, we tell people don't spray. It's like it's too hot. So this is a hotter temperature spray, and so you can use it when you start to get into the low 90s. I prefer if it's in the 80s. So if we've got some cooler temperatures coming in the next week or two, that's when you really want to get after those weeds in your lawn. And as we move into September, if I remember right, that's step 4 in your 5-step lawn care. And that's really the best time to get after the weeds, because we can go with some stronger herbicides. So we could do like Spurge Power, or my go-to, which is Weed Free Zone from Fertilome. So the Weed Free Zone's amazing for that. And you really get a little bit more serious on some of those weeds. But we need temperatures below 90. And so early to mid-September, we start to really drop down into the low 80s, and it will do a really, really great job on those weeds. What we found is weeds that are well watered and are healthy will absorb the herbicide better, and the weed killers work much better on them than when they're stressed. And so when the plants get really stressed, they kind of shut their systems down. So it's not like they hibernate, but they really kind of shut things down, and they close their pores up so they're not evaporating moisture through when it's really hot. Oh, so they're not absorbing. So they're not absorbing the herbicide, yeah. And so you want to make sure the day before you spray, you really water well, so the weeds get plenty of water and they're really healthy and they're just kind of happy and content. And then when you spray the herbicide, they actually think that it's a fertilizer. Makes sense. So then they'll absorb it in, and then it runs it down in the root system and kills them out. So fall is actually prime time for doing that, because they're going to absorb that herbicide, thinking that it is beneficial for them, and they're going to run it down the root system, because they can tell that the weather is changing and that the days are getting shorter and things are cooling. So they're going to start stockpiling that for winter, and they run it down the root system and kills the whole weed out. And so you're very, very effective. Your most effective time at controlling weeds is not in the spring. It's actually in September and early October, when our temperatures are perfect and the conditions are ultimate for controlling weeds. That's interesting. Yeah, so in the turf, definitely would recommend, as we start to cool down, Weed Free Zone, amazing. It's going to just knock out morning glory and puncture vine and thistles and mallow. Really does a great job, and it works fast, and it works on the hardest to kill weeds. And if you've got some really hard to kill stuff like big Russian thistles, wild violets are really tough to kill. Grape hyacinths, snake grass. If you get snake grass into some of your flower beds or into your grass, that's a resistant. It's really tough. Yeah, it's really tough. I've noticed. Spurge Power works amazing, and we highly recommend a surfactant with it. So like herbicide enhancer from High Yield. Yeah, it makes it adhere. And once it sticks to the weeds, it penetrates in through the tissues faster, and then it spreads through the weed quicker. So it's the technical terms are adhesion, absorption, and translocation. But that means it's going to make it stick on there. It's going to make it absorb it in, and then it's going to make it spread through the plant faster. Okay. And so if you use herbicide enhancer or spreader sticker with your herbicide, it's going to make it work that much better. You're going to just get like 2 or 3 times the results. And you can also use the lowest recommended dose. So, for example, if you want to spray Weed Free Zone, and it recommends you use 3 to 4 tablespoons per gallon. So it's talking 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces for every gallon of water. You're going to mix that concentrate in there. If you use herbicide enhancer with it, you can use the lowest recommended dose, and it will work as if you used the highest recommended dose. So it's going to work even more effectively. And in fact, it'll probably work better than if you just used the highest dose by itself because of those properties that it has. So it's going to make it really adhere to the plant. It's going to make it stick on there. It's going to make it absorb it in, so it helps with that absorption. And then it's going to make it spread through the plant with that translocation. So it's going to spread all the way into the root system and kill the plants out better. And so you can use less product and get better results if you use the additive with it. So herbicide enhancer, amazing. In fact, it has a little teeny bit of fertilizer in with it. It has a little bit of nitrogen.
Oh, really?
So it really fools the plants. Yeah. So they sense that nitrogen. They go, yummy. And absorb and just like suck it right in. And so very, very effective on all of those hard kill weeds. So weed-free zone, spurge power free on some really tough, hard to kill stuff. If you need to do it in the hot temperatures and you've got crabgrass or foxtail or goosegrass, then weed out with the crabgrass control will really do a good job. And that's just for the turf. If you want to really kill stuff in your garden, like which is where I'm at, because I've just got weeds everywhere, then I prefer Decimate. Killzall does a really great job, and both of those can be used in hotter temperatures, and they're not volatile, so they don't drift and spread all over the place in warmer temperatures, so it's not a problem. Definitely use the herbicide enhancer with both of those. It will make them work even better than they do by themselves. So I like the Decimate because it works faster and it biodegrades really, really quickly. So I can use it in my vegetable garden. Like say where my peas were, I've got a whole bunch of weeds that have like snuck back in there, and I just want to get rid of those. And so I will use the Decimate in that area, and it will kill those weeds in 24 to 48 hours. Like it works really, really quickly. But I can plant right back in there 24 hours after I've sprayed. So the Decimate biodegrades in 24 hours. And so even where I sprayed that herbicide, it is gone completely after 24 hours. So if I plant other seeds in there and they germinate and come up, it won't affect those at all. And so it has a very, very life in the soil, and so you can replant very quickly back in there. And it does kill morning glory, and it does kill crabgrass. And for some reason, I've got crabgrass all over the place in my garden. It's kind of crazy. But puncture vine, I've got puncture vine everywhere, and purslane, and just all kinds of nasty weeds that have just taken over the entire garden. And if you don't spray your desirable plants, like say in one area where I've really got morning glory, and I'm tempted this week to get in there and spray a little bit of Decimate. If I'm very careful and I don't get it on my squashes or on my cantaloupes, it will not damage them at all. It will only kill what you spray it on, and then it has that really short 24-hour interval that it kind of stays around in the soil, and then it's gone, and then it's gone after that. And so I could spray right there. I try and set my rows and my plants farther apart so I can run the tiller up and down the rows. So that really helps. But in between the rows, it's clean. But right in the rows, I got weeds all over the place, and so the tiller and the Decimate are going to be really good helpers this week, and we're going to try and get rid of some of those weeds.
Very nice.
So they're just out of control.
We have Marcia on the line with a question for you.
Good morning, Marcia.
Morning. I appreciate your show, Mark, and thank you for the beautiful flowers downtown. Oh my gosh, what a huge amount of time and effort you've spent. That's very, very commendable.
They've turned out gorgeous this year. So we're very happy, and it just makes it. I drive down Center Street, and I'm just like, oh, it looks so good. It just looks so nice.
It is. Such a pleasure to see. I have a very large privet hedge that's been in about 25 to 30 years. It's a Cheyenne privet. It has been beautiful and trimmed. This year, for some reason, it's very thin on the inside. The gentleman that usually trims my hedge wants to really cut it back severely and see if it will come back. But I'm very nervous about that because it's so old. I'm afraid if we do that, it will just be gone. Is that something you would recommend?
How long is your hedge?
It is probably 25 feet.
Okay. So it's not...
And it's probably 7 feet high.
Yeah, I was going to say Cheyenne usually gets 7 to 8 feet tall, so they're pretty good size. At 25 to 30 years, they are not like past their prime, but they're kind of getting there. And so you could definitely trim them back, but we would want to kind of boost their root system so that they really put a lot of new growth out. I think you could encourage some new growth in that interior. And I'm seeing a lot of plants that are kind of struggling this year. And I'm wondering if it's weather related, because we had such an odd winter that some of those plants just aren't performing the way they would normally. And of course it has been dry as well too. So even if we're supplementing with water, we had a drier start to the year and plants are struggling a little bit. If it were me, what I would do is I would probably water them at least once or twice with either kangaroo roots or use Bigfoot on them and just water those plants and get it down in the root system. And since it's in a liquid form, it will colonize those root systems with the mycorrhiza. And the mycorrhiza actually work on privets, and it works really well in the privet. And it will boost that root system so they can pick up more water, pick up more nutrient. And then this fall, I'd do like a slow release fertilizer on them. Like a tree and shrub food from Fertilum would be great because it'll feed them for like 3 to 4 months and feed them into the winter time. And then next spring, I think they'll just like take off like crazy. And it's pretty easy to do with the Bigfoot or the kangaroos. You can just mix it up in a 5-gallon bucket and then just pour it on the ground underneath the trees so it gets down into the root system. And we've done this with a lot of our other customers to get their plants to respond after some damage or maybe some breakage, and they had to go in there and really prune them severely to get them back into shape. And then we've used the Bigfoot or the kangaroos on those, and all of a sudden the next year they just like flush out like crazy. And so I think that would be, if it were me, that's probably what I would do is I would saturate those once and then probably 2 or 3 weeks later do it again and then use a slow release fertilizer on them just to encourage some new growth.
Okay, it's about 4 foot wide and very difficult to get inside.
Right. The root system is going to be right at where the edge of the branches reach out. So wherever the plant is, and so you could just water right down one side of the row and then go on the other side and just water down the other side, and it would get enough of the root system. It would make a difference.
Okay, all right. So you do recommend it be okay to prune it severely this fall now?
Yep. And you can prune any time until the ground freezes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And then they're kind of getting to that point where usually in the 30 to 40 year range, it's almost time to take them out and replace them. But if you try this, this is going to be an inexpensive way to try and just rejuvenate them and get them going again.
I appreciate your advice. Thanks again.
You're very welcome. Hey, thanks for calling our show.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You do see that with some of those older hedges where they thin a little bit, and then you see them come back.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to say, hey, phone lines are open. You can call in. And then I looked at the clock and it's like, oh, we got like 3 minutes.
Yeah. You do call. You have to be fast.
Dang it. Yeah. One thing I want to throw in there really quick. We did have a couple cases of West Nile virus showing up. And so don't forget, you can use repellents, not on your body, but in your yard to make the mosquitoes go somewhere else. And so our Mosquito Go and our Mosquito Beater repellent smell amazing. They repel all kinds of insects, not just mosquitoes, but all kinds of insects. And so if you're concerned about West Nile, we have some repellents you can use in your yard to make mosquitoes go somewhere else. And of course, still use repellent on yourself if you're going out in the evenings. But very, very effective. You can use it in your veg garden, in your shrubs, in your trees, in your landscaping, in your turf. And it will drive them away for 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it smells like cedar, so it smells amazing.
Oh, nice.
And very, very effective at driving those pesky insects away. And if you have a lot of mosquitoes, you just want to knock them down, get rid of them. We have a couple hose end applicators that work great that are made specifically for mosquitoes. Yeah, so the mosquito beater is awesome. But Sayonara, we've got a Sayonara product that is made specific for mosquitoes, and it's got an insect control, so it'll kill them, but it also has an insect growth regulator in there, so it stops them from reproducing. And so it's super effective on mosquitoes if we're starting to have some problems. So I've had people calling and they're like, we got West Nile, and what's going on? It's like, okay, well, here we've got some options for you. The repellent works great. If you need to knock them down, we've got some very safe insecticides that work on a lot of other insects as well too. So spiders, ants, earwigs, grasshoppers, mosquitoes.
I'm seeing granules.
Works
here,
on
too.
all those. Yeah. The mosquito beater comes in a granule form, so it's easy to apply. Yeah, super easy. And don't forget today, cash sales going on. If you pay with cash on top of our nursery sale, so the sale is 15% off trees, shrubs, evergreens, roses, vines, all of our nursery stock, 15% off. Today, if you pay with cash and you heard it on the radio, you get
Grizzly football on News Talk KVNU Logan, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, and online at 610kvnu.com.